depth and detail of a whole different world that I'm bringing to everybody now is overwhelming to even process. That it's so different, so vast. So I need to recognize that and, let people know that this is, literally 20 years of development all coming out at once. So and explain that, it's I was holding it back for so long because I was protecting it, because I felt like it was the immense value that I needed to be able to monetize, to be able to fund all of these bigger visions. And so my concern about protecting it, figuring out phases and ways to bring it out, this phase after that phase, this year after next year, that's what had been in my head all of these years. But the combination of the urgency of the situation right now, as well as me just realizing that in my ultimate goal of getting the job done, of supporting the transition to society, the more that I can have, everyone support me and support that process together, then, it's the way that it accomplishes the overall goal as fast as possible right now, which is what, I keep focusing on as what we're looking at. And so, if we want to get everything done as quickly as possible, let's get all the ideas out there as quickly as possible. And at this point, I'm not worried that people will steal my ideas and run with them, and I won't get any value, because that's totally against the grain of where we're going with all of this. So anybody that does anything like that is really clinging to a world that will quickly evolve away, and they will I want to say they will get theirs, but they will get what is coming to them in the world of, vibration. What we're focusing on is creating positive feedback cycles, where the sources of things, those that come up with ideas, come up with art, come up with value for others, that a positive feedback cycle is provided for them, so that they get ample value back for the value that they're creating for others, such that they can create more value and create even more value for others and be in that positive feedback cycle. So with what I'm doing, I'm putting it out there and saying, we're building the best support mechanism for you, for anybody that wants to create anything out of anything. If you see the value of what we're doing, you see the value of plugging into it and being a part of it, as opposed to trying to take something from it and prosper outside of it. It's hard to keep seeing the value in that type of scenario. We're definitely creating a scenario where people can prosper more within the whole environment and ecosystem that we're creating, rather than to try to take something that we come up with internally here and try to monetize it or take advantage or value out of it in some other marketplace. So again, we just have the confidence of the certainty of evolution on our side. That, anybody that's trying to do anything bad, so to speak, win-lose, I think that's the best way to put it, is that, whenever there's a win-lose situation, that's what we're evolving away, because it's not necessary. It's not necessary to have win-lose situations. You can always have a win-win situation where it exists in a world of infinite possibilities. So in a world of infinite possibilities, there are a lot of possibilities that involve win-wins for every scenario. Simple as that. So if anybody is existing or operating in any kind of win-lose scenario, it will soon be intolerable, because there will soon be other options for those people, those entities, those companies, those whatever, that they don't have to be abused. They don't have to feel taken advantage of. They don't have to sacrifice something to have something they need. They will be able to freely give what they love and cherish. They will allow their hearts to sing. Let's refocus on that concept. It's been a long time since I've been there, but we're focusing on creating a world of heart singers, people singing from their hearts by doing what the highest calling of themselves on this planet, their art, their creativity, their ways of interacting with people and connecting and doing the things that they really makes their heart sing. And to have a marketplace for that, exactly, whatever that marketplace is. They can get connected with all of the people and entities that want what they're offering instantly, and there's a defined marketplace, so they know how much they can get for what they do. And also, if by improving their scores, improving their reputation, improving their whatever, they can see what the marketplace is in those areas, so they can see exactly what remuneration they'll receive for what they love to do, at what rate, by achieving certain attainable metrics that everybody has control over. So this is the real detail of the systems that allow people to really live a whole centered life, centered around their biggest passion and what makes their heart sing. And in that, it's the inspirational energy. The inspirational energy is unlocked in those cases on a vast level. And inspirational energy is everything, because inspirational energy is the difference between someone doing something, watching TV or playing a video game or just whatever, drinking, any of the things that we're doing in society right now that, to a certain degree we're enjoying life, but to a certain degree, how much can we enjoy it when we know that the whole world is burning down outside of our door? So there's a cognitive dissonance there. There's a avoidance of feeling what's going on in the world. It's a whole nother, I'm starting to go down a rabbit hole with that. To complete the inspirational energy, we're tapping into what can get created in the world when people are living in an inspired state, when their mind is fully stimulated and excited by what they are experiencing in the world. And there's a vast difference in what they create in the world and in their creative output, and especially in working in coordination with others in the ways that we're talking about around issues, to give people free will to do whatever they want and have whatever they want be connected in such a way with all the other whatever they want that we're producing massive results out of that. So we're engineering that system that facilitates that. We are creating these tasks and these micro tasks so that whatever people are doing as a process can be broken down into its component parts, which can be translated across different industries, different needs, that all of the component elements of all of what people are doing in a creative process, whether they're video editing or writing scripts or doing animations or making music, whatever it is, that we're finding ways to break it down into recognizable, discernible parts that all plug in different ways to different things to be able to create the outcome people want. So getting way back to the idea machine, this is basically giving people the ability to specify whatever it is that they want to create in the world, and have a mechanism that already knows all the component parts required from having done it before within the system, from other people having put in that desired result with all of the different components that were required, all the different vendors that had to, be called in for graphic design, printing, video editing, programming, whatever was required to create any kind of project level result, that the system has very clear records on all of the component parts over and over again, like around the country. Like, this is the thing, is that all of these different businesses are connecting with each other using the system to be a part of collective collaborative solutions, each plugging in wherever they plug in, that creates metrics of success and quality and again correlating to what that was paid, and then invariably you're going to have higher level metrics of quality, success, etc., with more projects where more resources were provided. But also, there will be some components within the lower level solution that will excel, some vendors that will excel, some components of the system will excel. So again, it gives us that micro scoring for each stakeholder, each vendor, each business, each actionaut, anybody that's contributing any part to the solution. Their part is able to be independently assessed and scored. Their performance maybe somewhat, the algorithm will figure out how much culpability or responsibility independent parts have to what happens on the whole. But it seems like we could identify the specific parts where the breakdown were. I'm getting a little too deep. The bottom line is that we can have our big data metric collection around all of this stuff all of the time, which gets all kinds of results modeled in such a way that you can have a whole series of different very specific things you want to put in your query regarding the different ways you want to define the solution. And you can have all sorts of choices, obviously budget being a big one, but also all kinds of other ways to describe different choices you can make amongst vendors, like whether you want them to be local or whether you want them to be known or if they can be anonymous, and all kinds of different criteria that can be specified. This whole system that I'm describing allows us to create the idea machine, which is that we just have to have an idea of something. We just have to be willing to devote sufficient resources or somehow wrangle up sufficient resources. And this is where another concept is coming in now, which is there are those that can come up with all of these ideas and lay them all out and put them all out there for others to hear and to see. And then there's others that can come along and either independently bring the resources, whether it's the money required to fund everything, or they have a group, a club, an organization, or a community of people or entities that they bring to the table that collectively brings something, people force or workforce or finances or information or whatever it is that creates value. Like all of the experts coming into the Experts for Action platform, they collectively together, they're creating the value that then brings in the sponsors and the sponsor dollars. And so with the sponsor dollars, then we're able to execute bigger plans, have pay for the website development, the technology development that we need, and all the other things that are needed to really go at speed with the project. That's the one thing, we have to go at speed with the technology development. So we really do, while we can have students working on parts of it, we do need to have a professional web development team that is really responsible for what we're doing on a high level, not a monkey around level anymore. We have to have a really high level professional web development team that really needs to be cranking a lot of functionality out very quickly. So I'm glad I'm getting clear on that, because that needs to be done ASAP, sooner rather than later. And now that I've gone down that hole, to go all the way back to the inspirational energy, this inspirational energy is going to provide so much just energy and effort, to just addressing everything in the world, to people just dealing with their lives. Because when you're living in an inspired state, there's so much more of life available to you. You're so much more engaged in life in every way, and you're in touch and empowered. That's the thing. We're bringing empowerment to people so that they can be empowered about the challenges that we're facing with the world right now. Because right now we're acting in a disempowered way. Right now we're off on a bender, not thinking at all about our actual lives and the impact of what we're doing in the world. We're totally pushing it out of our minds in the present moment almost all the time. We have to. I do that. We have to do that to just deal, to just function, to not just sit on the ground crying for what we are, the ways we are murdering this planet. Literally, the ways we are murdering this planet and life on this planet. We are completely not just murdering billions of animals a year to eat. Not just like on that level, but we're just like being so destructive and callous and uncaring and about what we're doing in the world, that we're just wiping out life on a massive scale, that we're just destroying ecosystems right and left as if it doesn't really matter. It is absolute lunacy. It is absolute lunacy for anybody that can feel the pain of that for a moment enough to like go, oh yeah, oh my God, I have been pushing this out of my mind. However, I can see clearly enough to remember that we're fucking this place up bad, big time, so much that it's not fixable in any way. Not in any way that we recognize. The best case scenario at the moment is a severely fucked situation. Enjoy looking at the world every day right now, because every day that you see is the best day that this world will have for the rest of your life and your children's lives. It is only going to get much worse from here every single day. Every single day, every single year, every single decade. What we thought of as a peaceful, loving world is only going to get worse and worse and worse every single day, every single year, for decades, no matter what we do. There is nothing we can do at the moment that we are capable of, literally the only thing that possibly could be done, possibly like in the world of possibilities, is enough carbon capture quickly enough through trees, artificial carbon capture methods, but the current cost of doing that is beyond anything even close to the world at the moment is saying they're going to catch up to the 2020 goal, which was to globally contribute $100 billion to climate change. $100 billion across the whole world per year. And they haven't done that yet, even though that was the Paris Climate Agreement, or one of those agreements. And 2020 was the target, but now with COP26 coming, they're saying that they're going to do it. That's $100 billion, and they can't get it together for climate. To do the carbon capture that it would require at scale right now with our current technologies, I really don't know. I really haven't seen those numbers, but I'm guessing that it's not only in the trillions, but that's in the tens or hundreds of trillions of dollars right now. We are so far from efficient carbon capture at scale that can impact what we're putting out and what we're doing right now. We're not even in the ballgame with carbon capture yet. So that means that at the moment, there's nothing but fucked in front of us. There's no way to slow down this moving train. And with the polar ice caps melting, the permafrost melting irreversibly, Greenland starting to melt for the first time, certain parts of it, all of that is going to all melt because there's nothing to reverse that right now. We will help get this message across at some point. At the moment, we can't focus so much on, well, I guess to a certain degree we do have to bring up the points of how fucked we are around climate. It's not just climate pollution, plastic pollution. I mean, again, we see the whales and these other animals with stomachs filled with plastic. How long do we think we can eat fish that are swimming and eating plastic? How long they're not going to be able to keep eating each other. They're going to die. The whole world of oceans is in peril. We're already, the coral reefs are already like 80% degraded, I believe, since the 70s or something along those lines globally. The coral reefs support 25% of life in the oceans. Their collapse is not only astronomical and monumental when you talk about numbers like that, but just crying for all the species, for all the life that has been just like trampled on. It's just like trampling on life and snuffing it out, getting out a gun and shooting all of those animals. Like, we are wholly responsible for the death of all of this stuff that has been dying and is still dying at a mass level on our planet. It's so sad. It's so sad that we're so responsible, and that leads to so much of our denial. Who can think about that? Who can feel that? How much can you feel that? You don't want to live in pain every day. You don't want to feel the suffering of that every day. So we just have to put on a happy face and charge on. Which is fine. Again, we do have to live that life is wonderful and it's a gift and all of this. And we have to, at moments, be willing to remember the terrible nature of what we're experiencing, of what we are doing, you and me. This is not like someone else, something, some corporations. That is not a responsible way to look at this. We are the ones that pay those corporations to cut down those forests and to dig those mines and to pollute our water and all the things that we think we don't want done to us, that we're outraged about. We are the ones doing that to ourselves. We are the ones that are paying and supporting systems that allow that to happen. I won't go deeper into that concept now, just to say that the alternative, when we haven't had it, and I understand we haven't really had a way to do anything else, but the way to do something else that we're providing now is for people to be very tuned into knowing that their dollars, their financial support is in direct alignment with their values, their intentions. To know the supply chain statistics of the corporations they're giving their money to support sustainability and best business practices all the way down the line. And so we have to incorporate the tracking and the metrics of all of that, because that's the way that people can make individual consumer choices in alignment with their values. And we have to have a mechanism that provides that. So that's the bottom line. That's the definition right there. We need a system that allows all of our financial support, every dollar that goes out of our pockets and our wallets and our purses, every dollar that goes out must go to businesses that are most in alignment with our values, and that creates an evolution of businesses to be more in alignment with our values. And it creates that hyper evolution, because not only is it continually that again, just programmatically, we've put all of our values in, it's all numbers in the system, and these businesses are being rated on all those values and satisfaction by people with those values, and all of that big data way of matching what we're interested in with what is out there, what our choices are. And just making sure, because we now will have a automated programmatic system that is making sure that our dollars are going to the businesses that are most in alignment and most supporting the issues that we care most about. So again, that creates an evolutionary force in a very positive way on the businesses, just by the individual purchasing choices, but also with the collective actions that can be taken. And that's the big thing. And that's where we create quicker movement on a broader and wider scale because of the leverage. So it's using the collective leverage of society to really demand results from certain industries by creating extreme rewards and extreme punishment at scale. So by having the masses able to organize, coordinate, take collective actions instantaneously. Something can be in the news, and within minutes, certain collective actions are taken. And like we've talked about, we can build a system where we can declare like a certain, certain time of response, like what people can do. Like if they want to respond within the first 15 minutes, what is the response they could do, and have choices. And then we could have people that are working on a more thought out strategic approach, and they're going to have a result within like an hour or two. And people can be, waiting to see what they come up with to decide, what they want, if they want to follow that collective action, or maybe some different collective actions. That's where all of this leads to the forces in society that allow us to go beyond just the gradual evolution that I was describing by the individual consumer choices. That's a consumer evolution that evolves over years and decades. But